If you're boarding a cruise ship that holds 3, 4, 5,000 or more passengers, there is a good chance that these are going to be hard to navigate. Now, if you don't know the landmarks and how to get around on your cruise ship, not only can you get a little bit lost, but you can miss out on some of the best parts of your cruise ship. Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. Now, this is something that not a lot of people talk about, but the reality is it is very easy to get a little bit lost on a cruise ship, or at the very least, just not know until maybe day 6 of your 7-day cruise that there was an additional pool somewhere on the cruise, that there was a restaurant that was included that you would have wanted to try. And this is not only new cruisers, but experienced cruisers go through this as well. So in this video, I'm going to share with you some practical, well-known and lesser known tips on how to familiarize yourself with the ship's layout so that you can make the most of your cruise. Now, before I get started, there are two things. Firstly, if you're an experienced cruiser, I know that this probably has happened to you and you have some good tips and tricks for specific ships. So the comments are always gold, so please make sure that you leave your comments below. And secondly, if you like this video, if you find it helpful, informative, or enjoyable in any way, then please do give this video a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Let's get started. Number 1, watch ship tour videos on YouTube. Now, I know if you're watching this on YouTube, this is not going to be hard to figure out, but these are honestly the best. Cruise YouTubers have great cruise ship tours out there, and I do suggest watch more than one channel because along the way in those videos, you are going to get tips and tricks. Now, what I really like to do is not only watch those bigger channels, but I like to watch cruise vlogs from regular vacation goers, because oftentimes I'm going to find some unique tips, some interesting experiences, and even some hidden gems in there. Number 2, research your deck plans and your ship layout in advance. Now, you can do this in more than one way, but one way that you can do this is go on the cruise line website and you're going to find all of the deck plans. Now, some people have told me that what they like to do is download these. So download them to your phone, even print them out, and this way you can study where everything is. Now, when it comes to your cruise ship cabin, you may want to choose your cabin based on what is near you. And when I say near you, I often mean above or below. So as an example, if you are on deck 7, you might want to look if you're towards the back of the ship. Do you like to be near the buffet? That may be right above you. Are you midship, which is usually going to be the atrium area? That could be very convenient as well. Now, as a rule of thumb, some things that you'll want to know when it comes to the cruise ship is no matter what cruise ship you're on, there are some locations that are typical for common venues. So as I mentioned, typically the buffet is going to be towards the back of the ship. Now, in cruise lingo, oftentimes this is called aft. Now, also in the aft area, usually this is where you're going to have your dining rooms as well, but these are typically going to be on lower decks like deck 2, deck 3, deck 4, or deck 5. Now, the atrium, the piazza, or the promenade is typically in the center of the ship or the midship. Now, towards the front or the forward, oftentimes this is where you're going to have any observation decks. You're going to have these on upper or higher decks. And if you take the elevator down in the forward area, this is typically where you're going to find the ship's theater. Number 3, pick up a cruise line brochure from a local travel agency. Now, this is a bit of an old school hack, but if you have a local travel agency or a AAA in your area or a CAA, see if they do have any brochures available. And oftentimes towards the very back of that cruise ship brochure, you can find some physical deck plans. So while you can go to the cruise line website and print these out, sometimes it's nice to see this all in one place, and this can be something practical. Please let me know if you've ever done this before down in the comments below. Number 4, pick up a foldable pocket-sized map from guest services or at the check-in desk on embarkation day. Now, in the past, these were given out usually when you did embark on a cruise ship, but these days it seems like they're given out a little bit less frequently, but oftentimes they are going to be available. Now, on embarkation day, it's a great idea to explore the cruise ship, but if you have that pocket-sized map, that is really going to help to orient you and for you to know exactly where you are and what you should be looking for. Speaking of exploring the cruise ship on embarkation day, take a look to see if your cruise ship offers any ship tours that are given out by one of the cruise ship staff. Now, this does sometimes happen. It used to happen, I think, a little bit more in the past, but definitely on some of those smaller luxury ships, you are going to have this, but even on some of the bigger ships, you will sometimes find it. Use the ship diagrams that are located next to the elevator. Now, one of the reasons that you'll want to do this, and people are often surprised by this, is the fact that not every deck or every venue is accessible by every elevator. Now, what I mean by this is there can be, as an example, an observation deck on deck 17 or deck 18, for instance, and maybe you want to go there, but the forward elevator goes there, but the aft elevator may only go to deck 16. So if you take the aft elevator, you might have to cross the entire ship. Or in some cases, and it's happened to me, we've gone to a restaurant as an example that is on deck 2. We've gotten down to deck 2 only to find out that we're on a passenger deck. And while normally we could cross through the entire ship on that passenger deck hallway, that for some reason that deck actually had a middle part that was not accessible. So we did have to go back up to deck 5, go across, etc. So it really is important to know before you get into that elevator, does that elevator go to the venue you want to go to? That sounded a bit complicated, but please let me know if you know what I mean and if that's ever happened to you. Use the Cruise Line app. These days, cruise line apps are getting better and better. And in some cases, I'm even thinking about Princess Medallion. If you look on your phone, oftentimes you can see from the app, almost like a GPS, it'll give you the way to get to the venue that you want to go to. Use the wayfinding screens around the cruise ship. So many modern cruise ships are going to have screens and you're going to be able to look and see where you want to go. And it is going to give you a little bit of a diagram, a little bit of a map, if you will, so you could know how to get there. How to find your cabin. Now, it can happen. Cabin hallways, oftentimes they all seem to look the same. So how do you find your cabin? Well, one way that a lot of cruisers do it is they like to decorate their cabin doors. So that is definitely one way. But the other way is to look for landmarks. Now, in some cases on some cruise ships, and I think this was more on the older cruise ships, you would see that maybe on port side, the cabin hallway would have been blue, and on the starboard side, it would have been red, as an example. And on other cruise ships, for instance, on some of Norwegian's cruise ships, you'll see fish that are swimming, and they're always swimming forward. And this way, you know you're going towards the front of the ship. But there are other landmarks as well. So look for paintings and artwork that are in the stairway. Look for other defining characteristics, even a plant that might be on the left and not on the right, to be able to know exactly where your cabin is. Now, sometimes specific cruise ships do have little tells. For instance, on Royal Caribbean cruise ships, you are going to see that all of the cabin door numbers have a little wave in them, and that indicates the direction that you are walking. Now, I would love to hear any of your specific tips from specific ships and cruise lines. Please share those below, because I know those comments are going to help people immensely. Ask a crew member. Now, of course, you can ask at guest services, which, by the way, guest services is usually located somewhere either in or around the atrium. So typically in the middle of the cruise ship, but you can ask a crew member anywhere that you see a crew member. So whether you see a crew member in the stairway, whether you see a crew member walking in the hallway, and don't be afraid to ask other cruise passengers or guests as well. Honestly, most people are super nice and friendly on a cruise. Now, please let me know if this has ever happened to you. I have to admit, I have been on a cruise where I've been on day 3 or day 4, I've walked out of my cabin and I still do not know where is the forward or the midship elevator. Now, please share your own experiences along with your tips and tricks down in the comments below. And of course, if you have questions, please let me know as well. Now, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Bye for now and happy cruising.